Pokemon is about a lot of things. Monsters fighting, well-developed characters, and even sometimes, romance. Now, I'm not gonna act like it's a huge plot point, cause, let's be real, it's even been at most like a C plot. But from time to time, Pokemon touches upon the subject. Granted, most of the time it isn't revolving around Ash himself. But that hasn't stopped the community with shipping Ash with a plethora of characters. I'm personally not a shipper myself, as I don't watch Pokemon for romance, and it never really comes to my mind unless the show shoves it directly into my face. So I thought it would be fun to look at the romantic aspect of Pokemon from an outside perspective, just using what the show gives us to draw conclusions. Now, for the sake of my sanity and to avoid editing for 30 hours, I'm only going to be touching upon Ash's female companions in this video. But I'm sure every Ash ship ever has been covered somewhere on YouTube or the internet in general, so if you want even more coverage about Ash and his weird-ass romance life, you can go find it. Before we begin, I just want to make it clear that this video isn't crapping on anyone who likes the ship or has a romantic preference for Ash. This is just me looking at the show and seeing what I can gather. At the end of the day, this is my opinion. Ash doesn't have a canonical romantic partner, so nothing here is facts. Let's just have some fun and spark an interesting discussion in the comments. With that said, let's start from the beginning, with Misty. Now, until a certain character was introduced, Misty was seen as Ash's quote-unquote main love interest. This is because, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but in the dub they made it clear Misty had some romantic feelings for Ash. It wasn't blatantly obvious, but heavily hinted at, and the relationship between Ash and Misty could have most definitely turned into something more later on. But if I'm being entirely honest, I see this as more of a crush on Misty's end. That's because when she returns in Sun and Moon and Journeys, she showcases no romantic feelings at all. Granted, her character isn't about that, but still, if the writers wanted to show that she had feelings for Ash, you'd think they would put it in his final episodes. So yeah, I think it was just a harmless crush on Misty's end. Everyone has them, and they fade. Still, I'd argue she's one of Ash's best friends, and probably will be for his entire life. Up next, we have May, and to be completely honest, I think there's no chance here. This is for two reasons. One, May is clearly simping over Drew, like, no questions. Hate me all you want, but that's just the way I saw it. Secondly, Ash and May have a more student and teacher relationship, albeit in a very immature and childish way. I think May looks up to Ash as a pseudo-mentor / good friend. I think that's really all there is to it. The two help each other out, they're anchors, good friends to push each other forward. But May has shown little to no romantic interest in Ash, and until we get more evidence, I don't think it goes beyond people just having fun shipping. And the same, in my opinion, can also be said for Dawn. Now, Ash and Dawn definitely have a different relationship from most of his other female companions, because both have very strong visions for their future, which allowed them to get along pretty damn well from the start. Dawn even wears a cheerleader outfit to support Ash, but I think this dynamic actually leans more into a sibling-like relationship. The two are very supportive of one another, and yet tease each other like a brother and sister do. You could argue Dawn wanting to look her best constantly was to impress Ash, but in all honesty, Dawn holds herself to a very high standard, even when just meeting him. So I don't think that's very valid. Also, let's be real here, the high five is the most sibling thing I've ever seen. Like, they are actually related, they just don't know it.
What do you mean by that?
Next up is Iris, and I'm sure most of you would immediately say there's nothing there, and I do still agree. But I actually think there's more of an argument here than people realize. Ash and Iris have a lot in common. They're both outgoing, adventurous, and both insanely powerful battlers. Like her or not, Iris is canonically Ash's strongest companion, meaning she's probably the only one at this point who could have a serious battle with Ash, and he would have a hard time winning. It's the similarity in their personalities which makes me think they could click more. And it seems like in Journeys, both have matured and have come to respect each other more than they did in Black and White. And thank God, because they were freaking annoying as hell sometimes. Still, in actuality, the show doesn't show anything for Iris, like, at all. If anything, she just heavily respects Ash and sees him as a close friend. Iris's true love will always be dragon-type Pokemon. Not in a romantic way, mind you. She's just the vibe of a character, and I'm glad to see her progress in both the show and fan reception. Our next love interest is actually a canon love interest.
Serena!
Serena is the only time the show has really pushed a romance between Ash and another character in such a in-your-face way. They've gone on dates, they've had whatever this scene was, and Serena even kissed him. It's very clear the writers were pushing this relationship to be canon. So if we look at it that way, it's pretty clear this is our most viable option. But when we look at it from the show's perspective, we have to ask a very important question. Does Ash actually reciprocate? And to be frank, no, not at all. You can ship Ash and Serena, and it's clear the writers did, but they don't make any effort to show that Ash actually notices these feelings, or even better, having feelings for Serena himself. It's a very one-sided romance, only brought to the forefront when Serena literally kisses him. Now, Ash doesn't reject the kiss, but I think it's more out of shock, because when they reunite in Journeys, there's no awkwardness with Ash. Granted, they only saw each other for like 5 minutes, but still, there was no sign any romance was there, at least in Ash's case. So, objectively, it's a little bit up in the air. On one hand, it's very likely, but on the other, there's no real evidence to support it goes both ways. Still, I do think it is the most plausible option when it comes to Ash and any of his female companions. So of course, that means I really don't think anyone from Alola has any sort of romantic feelings for Ash, at least intended by the writers. Mallow and Lana for sure don't. Ash is just their friend, like how people have friend groups with both genders. He's just that guy in the friend circle, and at a minimum, a classmate. I do think that each of them do have a solid friendship with Ash, but it doesn't really go anywhere beyond that. They're just good friends. Lily actually has some more evidence. She has shown a deep care for Ash, but to be honest, I don't think it goes anywhere past respect. Ash did a lot for Lily, like a lot. She wouldn't be the person she is today without him, so of course, she would have some sort of feelings towards him, but I don't think it goes past admiration. Maybe she has feelings, but she just doesn't realize them yet, and even if she did, the show's over, so, we're probably never finding out. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm not bothering with Chloe at all. She and Ash have interacted so little, and she's taught a lot more to go anyway, so yeah, there's really no argument here, but if you ship Ash and Chloe, that's cool. Good for you. With that said, that's every female companion covered, but before I end the video, I just want to make one point. Shipping shouldn't be the end-all be-all. In Pokemon's case, it's just something fun, ideas that spark discussion. But there's absolutely no reason to make it your entire personality, or say if you do, there's no reason to get mad at others when they don't agree with you. Just because I don't like shipping doesn't mean I'm going to invalidate someone who does. And I think as a community, we should come together and understand that it's a very subjective topic, and not for everyone. Let's just be civil and have a fun conversation. With that being said, to enjoy more high quality Pokemon content, check out the videos on screen right now.